Hey, Aurora, good afternoon, and thank you for coming to our session, our first session. One thing I'm glad that you came in today. I'm eager to talk to you, and I want to let you know that everything that we speak in this classroom is confidential, except for three reasons. The first one would be whether you tell me that you're going to hurt yourself. The second being that you're going to hurt someone else, or the third being that you're being abused. And in that case, I would have to get help for you. Understood? But other than that, whatever we say is in confidentiality between both of us. So again, let me welcome you. Again, I'm glad that you're here. And so what brings you to my office today? Okay. Okay. So you're coming in, your main concerns right now are attitude? Attitude towards school. I'm assuming it's school, correct? And your second being your academics. Okay. Is this something that's brought up because of the recent testing? Okay. Tell me about your experience with this. What happened that brought you in today? All right. Okay. Okay. And you took how many tests? Three of them. And you didn't pass two of them. Can you elaborate on which ones they were? Reading and math. Are these topics that you normally struggle with? Okay. Um, all right. So you mentioned to me that you didn't pass out of your three exams. You didn't pass your reading, and you didn't pass your math, and you did pass your science. Okay. So that's a good accomplishment there in itself, correct? But you mentioned something about attitude. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Was it attitude towards your exams, classwork? Tell me a little bit more about that, please. Okay. And how do you or what do you understand when she tells you this? Okay. And the reason being? I see. Okay. So you got a sense of whenever she speaks and she's talking about trying in class and doing well in your testing and in your, I guess, your daily work, you took it as it was something personal and she was talking about you, and you're under the belief that you have some kind of responsibility to answer her because you thought she was talking to you, and it wasn't the case. It was something more general, correct? Okay. Um, is it the same situation with your other two teachers? Because I know that you rotate with two other teachers as well. Is this the same case for the other two as well? Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about each one? Okay, she used a specific word and you don't remember what did you understand by that word? And this is your reading teacher, correct? Okay. What did you understand what she was trying to say? Okay, directly at you. All right, how did you feel with that experience? Okay. You don't understand what happened or um okay, so far in your reading class, you're feeling that she's directing her comments at you. And this is regarding not trying enough in your testing or in your work in general. Work in general, okay. And when you turned around or looked up, I understand that she was looking directly at you. Okay. Um, what did you think at that moment? Okay, so you're getting that perception of it, that you're not perhaps welcome. Okay, does that how does that make you feel? Okay, all right. I understand. I mean, that must be difficult because you're turning around and all of a sudden it's like it's coming at it's being directed at you. I do understand that it would be something uncomfortable. Okay, and are you able to continue? Were you able to continue your work at that time when she addressed you that way? And how did you do with that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you kind of like shook it off, and let's continue with what we're doing so there isn't any more comments or problems in the classroom. Okay. And what about your final teacher? Your math teacher, correct? Okay. What do you mean by rude? Can you explain a little bit about that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Was it something that you called out as he was calling other names, or he was already finished and you were the last one in class? Okay. 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 Mm-hmm. I see. And he took it as, I understand that he told you that it was rude. Those were his exact words. All right. And how did that make you feel, Aurora? Okay. All right. Um, what did you do at that moment? All right. Was he directing himself to you at that point afterwards or not? Okay. Um, how is your motivation in that class? It's okay. Okay. Um, all right. So this is one time that this has happened in that class. Other than that, do you feel comfortable in there? Okay. So it's something that you can manage. So you're mostly concerned about your science class and about your reading class. All right. And it's because of your grades, and you said attitude. And attitude, is it something that because of what your teachers have mentioned before? Okay, so that's where you're getting that that word, right? So it might be that, and that's what you're trying to look for assistance with. Okay, Aurora, how strong do you feel about your abilities to do well in science and in reading? Do you feel confident about the work that you do in there? You do. All right. Study habits. Tell me about your study habits for your homework or whatever assignments that your teachers do in this case. Especially the two that concern you the most, which is your reading and your science, right? Okay. Okay. And the reason being? Okay, all right, so that's one, right, that we could work on, definitely. Can you tell me a little bit about your routine when you get home? Mm-hmm. All right, all right. So, do you have tutorial? You do attend tutorial. How many times out of the week? You come in twice a week. What days? Mondays and Thursdays. Okay, so you go home and you get home around 5 o'clock. So it's pretty late in the day, and you go home and eat something, and then you do your homework, and then you go outside and play, right? You mentioned that you don't necessarily do the reading. Is it because you want to go out and play? So is that the last part of your homework that you touch? Okay. Is there a particular reason for that? No? Is it a great amount of reading that you're supposed to be doing? 20 minutes. Okay. How do you feel about the reading? Okay, you're not doing it, right? Okay, that can be something that we can work on. And you said that you are confident in your abilities of doing well in your classes, right? But attitude, where do you think that's coming from, Aurora? You said that you mentioned something that you mentioned something to the fact that um, you know that you can, but you responded to the teacher. Did you raise your hand, or what do you mean by the attitude? Do you become angry at the time that you do things like that, or can you explain a little bit about that? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So her observation is that you're not focusing on whatever she's teaching you, and you're paying attention to what's going around in the classroom that doesn't involve you. Is that what it is? Okay. Where do you sit in the classroom? At the back. Okay, so you have the entire class in front of you, correct? Okay. Have you ever tried a change of seating arrangements, perhaps that might help you? No. You've always, since the beginning of the year, you've always sat there. No? You have moved around? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. Is this the case with all three of your teachers? Or is it only with one teacher that you're being moved around or getting a change of assignment? Only in one. And this is your homeroom teacher, correct? Okay. You said that someone was next to you and they make you laugh. So you're paying attention to what's going around. Um, do you think you can improve that or make that better? Okay. What ideas, how do you think that you can improve that or make that better? Okay. All right. That would be a suggestion. Definitely not listening to somebody else's talking and paying attention to the teacher would definitely be something that would help you. How else do you think that could be solved? Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that very much. I liked what you mentioned. start caring about yourself, right? And start thinking about yourself and your education and improving those grades and paying attention to your teacher, right? It's very, very important. So I can see that you want to do something about it, or else you wouldn't be here, correct? So you do recognize that it's something that needs to be improved, and we can work on that, definitely. Um, have you ever expressed this to your teacher before? Have you ever told her about, talked to her about maybe ways of improving that in the classroom? Never. Why do you think? You sit by yourself. Okay, you're not in a group, you're separated. Are you in rows? Are you in? Okay, okay, okay. All right, so right now you're at the back, you're on your own to try and keep you a little bit focused on what's going on. Is that the reason that that's how I understand that you told me, correct? Okay, wonderful. Well, it's a good start. Definitely a good start because you know that it's important. And yes, you do need to be thinking about yourself, right? Um, you sound like you are a young lady that wants to make the changes, wants to do something about it and improve in your grades and your attitude. You seem confident in your abilities, but when you were talking about your experiences with your teachers, you said that some of the comments do make you feel sad. They make you feel sad, correct? Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What goes through your head while you're listening, or you listen to a comment such as the one that you mentioned with your reading teacher? And I know that you continued working, but what went through your mind or your feelings with that when she told you this and she's looking at you? She said you were lying? Okay. All right. So you didn't really understand what she was saying. Okay, but she was trying to clarify. Is that like let me understand. She was trying to when she was looking at you and you asked her if she was talking about you, she clarified that it wasn't directed at you. Okay, but you still felt that it was for me, and that made you feel okay. She brought down maybe I understand like your self-esteem. Okay, like you're not comfortable, or she doesn't want to, right? Okay. Um, okay, well that's something that we definitely need to work on, right? Because um, you want to take it. First thing is that you're recognizing this, you want to do something about it, and self-esteem, you want to improve that, right? Because right now, from what I'm hearing from you, because of the experiences you've had with your teachers, you're not feeling maybe too confident about you. And when they do mention comments, or they might be talking in general to your class, you're taking it like it's directed at you, whether they're looking at you or they're not, right? So that's something that's affecting you there because in addition to your grades for your testing this week, correct? Okay. All right. Okay. Tell me a little bit about your home. You already told me about your routine when you get home, What about communication with your parents? How is that going? Okay. Do you communicate what you're telling me right now to your parents? Okay. And that is because? Okay. All right. Okay. 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 And your parents are both in the same home? Okay. Different home. Okay. So you were living only with mom. Okay. And recently you started talking to your dad. Okay. And you said that you're talking more to your mommy, right? You're talking more to your mom. Was it different before? I understand from what you're telling me, it was different. It wasn't always the same. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Okay. Okay. Tell me a little bit about that. I see. Okay, so you were feeling maybe a little bit, uh, you were disappointed at what happened, correct? And did you, what were you feeling, or what were you thinking about your dad? Do you think that your father did this because, okay, so you were just hurt, right? You were very hurt by his actions, and so you were just left with your mom. And you said that the communication with her wasn't very good before. Okay. You were not able to speak with your mother? Why do you think, why do you think that was so? Okay. So whatever was happening here in school and the experiences that you were having with your teachers, your mother was unaware of any of this. She didn't know about this. Okay, you weren't confident or sure enough that you could come up and talk to her about it. Okay. How would you think that she would react if you would tell her what was going on? Right. So she wouldn't believe, maybe I'm taking from what you're saying that you wouldn't think, she wouldn't believe that you were being too honest with her and maybe exaggerating a bit? Yes? Okay. What makes you think that? Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 But you don't. Okay. All right. Well, let me just kind of summarize of what you've told me. Um, you're barely starting to talk to your mommy. It wasn't always the same because you don't feel like she trusts you very much, right? And you used to lie with for her or to her because of the cleaning, or maybe you told her you did some chore around the home and you didn't get to do it. So she got the feeling, or she has a belief that she needs to maybe remind you a little bit more, or just be careful about whatever it is you're saying. Is that how I understand it, or is that how it is? Okay. All right. And can can I ask you since when your communication opened up a little bit more? Okay, wonderful. Okay. Has that has improved definitely. How is the relationship going on now? It is? Okay. Are you able to talk to her about what's going on at school? Okay. Good. How does that make you feel? Good. Good. You don't feel lonely and you feel that you can go to somebody and they're going to listen to you, right? And that's a good thing because you definitely need the support from your mom, right? You mentioned a sister, right? Is this sibling older or younger than you? She's older. How old? A year. Okay, how is the relationship there? Not so good. Okay, she's 18, right? How old? She's 13. All right. Okay, and you said it's not so good. Okay, can you explain a little bit about that? Okay. 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 And that's something that's very hurtful. So she's told you this out loud. Okay. You seem to be, from when you're telling me